son of a bitch.
Groovy.
Hey everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Hulk, the 2003 comic book superhero movie that is based on the Marvel character that you may be able to tell by this whole thing, I absolutely love. I mean, I'm going to be upfront with you with this review. I am not exactly the most impartial person. I absolutely love the character of the Hulk. He is, bar none, my favorite superhero character. I think he's fascinating. I love the whole concept of the man at war with himself, and I think, you know, there are times where he's been handled better than others, but overall, I really enjoy him. So like I said, I was not the most impartial person going into this film. I definitely wanted to like it. That said, I didn't love it. There are definitely parts of this movie that I think are exceptionally flawed, and I do not understand at all. I feel like Ang Lee, the director of this film, did not know the type of movie he wanted to make. I think he wanted to make a very artful film, and at points that worked, but also in other points it didn't. There was a disconnect between tones from one scene from another, and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, there are definitely parts that I like, so let's get to those first. I thought Eric Bana as Bruce Banner was actually, he did a pretty good job. I thought the way that they handled his origin in this film, where they modernized it, where instead of him being at bomb testing, where he's throwing a guy out of the way, where he was jumping in the way of a test in a lab. Sorry, apparently I can't think of words at the moment, but so it's basically the essence of the story about changing bits and pieces, but you still have him being selfless, and that resulting in him becoming the Hulk. I thought that was well done. I thought the way he performed the character was good, where, you know, he wasn't over the top, where he was kind of this nebbish or bookish kind of guy, but he also, you know, didn't have a domineering personality. I mean, I will say it wasn't necessarily Banner as I've ever known him. He was a little bit more charismatic and good looking, and kind of had the world on a string than I've ever seen. But I thought for a film derivation of the character, it was decent. As far as the actual Hulk goes, I thought there was a lot of scenes where they handled it absolutely to perfection. I mean, I thought it was great where it was very well set up, where for the most part the Hulk just wanted to be left alone. When these situations would come up after he kind of dealt with them, where he jumped to get away, and he just wanted to go off and do his own thing and let his anger out. I thought that was fantastic. That was very much the character as I've known him over the years. I mean, depends on the era for sure, but there are lots of stories where that's who he is. I thought that was well handled. There are definitely fight sequences with him that are interesting, and they're not necessarily, their actions, but that's kind of gets to the point of the problem with this movie, but more on that later. I thought that was well done. As far as the casting of the female lead in this case played by Jennifer Connelly, I thought that she was far superior, in my personal opinion, as Betty Ross than Liv Tyler, who I felt how I feel was very lifeless and uninteresting, and just basically kind of there as the plot device. I like Jennifer Connelly's performance a significant amount more. I thought she was a very good part of this film overall. Not perfect, I mean, it's like anything else, but as far as the story she was in, I thought that they did a great job on her. And then you have her dad, Thunderbolt Ross, who again I thought was great, played by Sam Elliott. I mean, him and William Hurt both did equally fantastic work, I think, as the character. And I've always enjoyed seeing him on screen, and I think they do a pretty good job of defining his motivations, but also making him seem unreasonable and like somebody who has spent much of his life having people say yes sir and no sir, and when things where he's not like having his commands followed to the T, how he handles that, and how he thinks he's doing the right thing. And in his world, in his mind, if this was a movie telling this story, he was the good guy, not the bad guy. I thought that was all well done. And they introduced a character played by Josh Lucas, who was basically this jerk who comes into the movie who has a real problem with Banner and is kind of throughout the entire film he's somebody who he has to compete with, and he doesn't know what he's getting into. And when you see him get his just desserts over and over again, it's very, very welcome. But at the same time, I felt like the character was completely unnecessary and added very little to the film, other than having that moment with him where Banner tells him you wouldn't like him when he's angry. I thought that was decent, but overall I think he added little to this film. And the only other major positive I'd say is I really enjoyed the sequence where Banner goes up and he turns into Hulk, where he's on the outside of the plane, and he's falling to his death, and that whole thing. I like seeing the Hulk free fall like that. I thought was great. Now, as far as the problems with this movie, I think there are three major problems. I mean, four really. First, tonally, I do think that this movie gets to be pretty boring in a lot of sequences, and feels really drawn out. I mean, I really like how they do some of the visuals, like they make it look like a comic book off and on, which I thought was cool, but there's definitely a lot of moments that are very boring. And then the major problem is the villain. And the main villain of this movie is you find out is Banner's dad, played by Nick Nolte, and so bad. I mean, his performance is completely unhinged, which is fine. That's the way the character's written. I thought that he did it as performing the character as written. I think he does pretty good, but as written, the character is somehow managed to be completely over the top and crazy while also being extremely boring, and it's just not interesting to see in any sequence whatsoever. And when they have the big fight scene between their father and son at the end, where they're fighting up in the clouds, I mean, that's just not good in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it's just I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, obviously they were trying to go for something very artistic and all that, and I think as a visual it's kind of interesting, but this is the freaking Hulk. I mean, it's not supposed to be about some, mano and mano fight in the clouds and some hippy dippy crap in the sky. I mean, it's supposed to be, guys punching each other, and that's just, that whole thing sucks. And then the moment that where I was watching this movie, up until this point, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm not loving this, but I'm kind of going with it. And then the radioactive dogs show up, and you're like, no, why, no, why are radioactive, gamma infused dogs? Whose idea was that? Why is that in this movie? It just, oh man. I mean, it just completely takes me out of it. I mean, like I said before, I don't hate this movie. I know there are a lot of people who really, really don't like it, and I don't know that I'm just capable of doing that because I love the Hulk so much, but I definitely don't love this movie. And I'll tell you this: up until watching for this review, I had not seen this movie in a very, very long time, and there's a reason for that. So those are my thoughts on Hulk. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you hated it, if you love it, if you think it's underrated, overrated. I don't know. I think it was overrated. People think things. Whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It will make it much more likely that other people will come check out this review and let me know what they think, which is something I would absolutely love. And if you are new here or you just haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way you can check out my videos and let me know what you think. And have yourself a good day.